Hey, Mike, I'm just so glad that we have this topic, that we both have the Ravens in our feeds today, because I really want to talk about number 8. We haven't talked about him much this offseason, where quarterbacks have moved around. Russell Wilson's got a new team. Deshaun Watson has a new team. Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, all these quarterbacks have moved around. Aaron Rodgers got a new contract. We haven't talked much about Lamar Jackson, who's got the same team, the Ravens, but doesn't have a new contract. And here's the twist. He didn't have a new contract because he just hadn't taken the time to focus on it. I mean, this really blows my mind. And I know Lamar Jackson is 25 years old, which means I'm more than twice his age. But when I grow up, I want to be like him. There's a lot of money on the table. His employer is like, we want to pay you. We want to pay you a lot of money. And he's like, I don't know. I'll get to it. So the Ravens and their owner, Steve Bisciotti, made some comments, and Eric DeCosta has talked about this as well, where they have reached out to Lamar. He's in his fifth year option. He's going to make $23 million this year. They're not going to let him hit the market. If they don't come up with a contract, which they say is unlikely before the 22 season, if they don't come up with a contract, they'll slap a franchise tag on him a couple of times if it comes to that. But I'm just amazed, one, before we get to what he's saying about the false narrative and how he loves the Ravens, I'm amazed that the contract is not a priority for him right now, especially since the price has gone up in the last 3 weeks. Whatever he thought was a good contract 3 weeks ago, that is now irrelevant if he has a good agent and places himself in a market.
Well, he's his own agent.
Well, but he's his own agent, but advice. I'd say advice. I hope he has a lawyer who is not necessarily acting as his agent, but saying, okay, this is what you should be looking for. Or I'll look over the numbers for you. Because if truth be told, look, he's not as good as Aaron Rodgers, but he's got an MVP. Deshaun Watson doesn't have an MVP. And Watson just got a $230 million guaranteed contract, and Watson has some things on his slate, okay, without getting into that right now. So Watson has some, it's not like, oh, a slam dunk, give him $230 million guaranteed. Aaron Rodgers, $50 million. Somewhere between Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers, I think that's where you can find Lamar Jackson's contractual house.
So I like the way Lamar's playing this. And I mean, and it's easy for me to say because, you know, I'm not the one delaying the signing of a mega contract. And I'm with you, man. I mean, look, he made $1.7 million last year. He makes $23 million this year. And most people would, of course, jump at the opportunity to sign the kind of contract that the Ravens are putting in front of him. And you juxtapose that with, you know, a Baker Mayfield, who, even before the acquisition of Deshaun Watson, the Browns weren't certain enough to sign him beyond his fifth-year rookie option. Just a couple of things from Steve Bisciotti, the Ravens owner, that jumped out to me. And this is why I like how Lamar is playing this. Lamar and his agent, as in Lamar, how they are playing this. So Bisciotti called Jackson's decision to wait unique as hell because everybody expects you to say, I got to get mine now. He said, quote, the kid is so obsessed with winning a Super Bowl that I think deep down he doesn't think he's worthy. Bisciotti said in his first interview with reporters in 4 years. He said, I think he wants to say,
okay,
now.
We'll get back to that. No, I'm saying we'll get back to that. By 4 years.
All right.
But anyway, keep going.
He said, I think he wants to say, now I deserve to be on top. People can speculate any way they want. I don't think he is turned on by money that much, and he knows it's coming one way or the other. Smart kid, smart guy, smart man, excuse me. He said, but it's like Eric DeCosta, the GM, can't keep calling him and say, hey, Lamar, you're going to need to get in here and get this thing done. That's not a GM's job. Kirk Cousins did it that way. What if Lamar says that? I'll play on the fifth year. I'll play on the franchise. I'll play on another franchise, and then you can sign me. And that gives me 3 years to win the Super Bowl so you can make me a $60 million quarterback, because that's where it will be 4 years from now. That might be the case, but I don't talk to Lamar. It's not my role. I don't know the answer. Close quote from Steve Bisciotti, Ravens owner. Look, if you're Lamar Jackson and you're seeing the money that's being thrown around, the salaries ain't going any lower. But on the flip side, you have one playoff victory, and that was this year against Tennessee. That was last year against Tennessee. Not this year. It was last year. I beg your pardon. Last year against Tennessee. Didn't make the playoffs this year. Even better. For the point that I'm making. Didn't make the playoffs this year. Finally got your first playoff win last year at Tennessee. Overall, the Ravens are 1-3 in his playoff starts. Since that historic MVP season where he threw 36 touchdown passes and ran for 1,200 yards or something crazy like that. Since then, last year kind of came back to 26 touchdowns and 9 picks. And this past season, 16 touchdowns and 13 picks, kind of up and down. So if you're Lamar Jackson, this is why I like this. Lamar Action Jackson is about that betting action, as in that betting on myself action. If you're Lamar Jackson, do you really want to sign right now? Like, unless you're hurting for money and you just can't wait, and you just like, or you're just saying, oh, given my style of play, I don't want to get hurt, or I want to take the bird in hand rather than two in the bush. I get that mentality. But if you're Lamar Jackson, why would you sign right now? Because your leverage is not that high. Other than the fact that you're their franchise quarterback, and they certainly want to keep you long term, so they want you to do a deal. But what I have not seen, Michael, maybe I just haven't seen it, maybe you have. Have you seen any specifics in terms of the deal that we assume is on the table? Right. So who's to say that is a deal in line with what Lamar Jackson thinks he is? Because if I'm the Ravens, I'm like, well, you're 1-3 in the playoffs. Well, you weren't that great last year.
But you know what, I haven't. Yeah, you know
well,
what,
we're not going to pay you for 2 years ago. I mean, we love you, but we only love you so much. If I'm Lamar, I'm like, you know what? Let me go win more. Let me go win another MVP. Let me go win the Super Bowl even, which I believe that I can do, or we can do, with me at the helm. Let me do that, and then come to the table where you got to make me the highest paid player ever.
But you know what, I'll say this. And you tell me, I can't, just off the top of my head, I can't think of an example of a quarterback, of a starting quarterback, getting a deal, like in this situation. Hey, we know you're going, we don't want you to go into your 5th year. We want to sign you to a contract extension, whether it's, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or anybody else. I can't think of a deal where I say, that's all he got? Man, they kind of cut some corners on that one. Usually you get that deal, and it's an incredible deal. So I don't think that he's looking at it saying, well, come on, you got to put some more zeros on that thing. That's a little.
Well, with all due respect, maybe this is the downside of not having an agent, because maybe the deal that they're trying to get him to sign is better than he thinks it is, and maybe you're right. Maybe it is it doesn't sound like Josh Allen is complaining, so maybe it is a good deal, but it's not being evaluated properly. Maybe he's being unrealistic from a traditional negotiating standpoint. But if it's him saying, Bisciotti saying, the kid deep down doesn't think he's worthy, he wants to win a Super Bowl, I'm like, no, I think he's worthy. I think he's thinking, like, I can get more if I pad my resume a little bit more, than what it's been. He's been great. He's been fantastic. He's clearly the guy. They want him long term. But has he done enough to command, the money that Aaron Rodgers just got? The circumstances with Deshaun Watson are separate and apart, and we'll get to that in a second. But has he done enough to command the kind of contract that he thinks he wants? Or the Ravens like, nah, you ain't that guy yet. I'd be interested to see what they're actually talking about.
Except he is. I mean, like what you're hoping for is what Lamar Jackson has already done. What he hasn't done with the big hole in the resume, I guess, if you put it that way, is he hasn't won a Super Bowl, but he's an MVP. He's already an MVP at 25 years old. He's already been an All-Pro. He's already been a Pro Bowler. He has continued that Ravens tradition, one of the best franchises, one of the top 5 franchises, in my opinion, in the way they do business in the NFL. So there's really not a lot to prove for Lamar Jackson, if you ask me. I got to know this, though. I know you
not prove, but timing and leverage. I mean, again, not to compare these dudes, but We know what Joe Flacco did, and we know how he cashed in off that Super Bowl run when he bet on himself.
Great run.
It's like,
great run.
Is Lamar just looking for the perfect timing? That MVP was 2 years ago. And again, I'm with you. It's like, you know, he's got enough of a body of work to warrant a mega contract. But could he just improve his leverage with a better season this year and potentially a deeper playoff run?
I need you to help me with this one. I know you've talked with Steve Bisciotti in the past and have enjoyed those conversations.
I like him a lot.
Please tell me, 4 years? Like, how do you?
It's a long time.
I just know as a beat reporter, I would say if I finally got an interview, you know the line at the beginning of the interview. You got to write the line. In a wide-ranging interview.
Wide-ranging, yes.
Yeah, wide-ranging. Because we got so much to talk about over 4 years, not just football, because I'm going to talk to you about a lot of things. What do you think about changes in society? I haven't talked to you since there was an 18-game season. I haven't talked to you about a new TV deal, all kinds of stuff. Man, what's up? 4 years? What has he rejected requests? Is he like is he a recluse?
No.
What is it?
There you go with Eddie Murphy Raw again. There you go. You don't usually use that word. You were saying before the show. So behind the curtain, we both sat down, you know, and Michael said, he said, "What's going on?" I was like, "Not much." He was like, "The rent." When I go say the rent, you know, I do have a line from, you know, I won't curse every chance I get, but you know, the rent, you know, do you have a job? Well, hour, we'll get out of my face. The rent. You were like, I'm constantly quoting Eddie Murphy Raw lately. Even recluse. He's a recluse, like Michael Jackson. He's a recluse.
I'll tell you, and I haven't watched it this year.
What's with all the jokes, man? What's with all the jokes? I'll moonwalk all up and down. Oh, let's go to break. Music, Gary. Get us out and save us from ourselves.
Lillian cannot use the phone. Lillian. Who am I? Alexander Graham Bell up in there?
Outside ever again. We got to talk about, though, we'll come back to this Bisciotti stuff because you were first time in 4 years, right? He said a lot. He had a lot to say about other people's business, affecting his business, which probably has a lot to do with the fact that his quarterback is unsigned. He got a problem with rubbed me the wrong way. But it's going to require some nuance. It's going to require some nuance, but that's what we...
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.